The film starts with a couple, Matthew and Liz, who are happy because Liz is pregnant. However, Liz has to undergo a birth operation because her amniotic fluid has broken. Matthew jokes about postponing the operation because he has a game with his friends the next day, but Liz scolds him. A few days later, Liz gives birth to a baby girl, but she dies from excessive bleeding during the operation. Matthew is devastated and feels he cannot take care of the baby alone. He daydreams about being with Liz again and regrets not being able to be with her for one more day. The crying of his daughter brings him back to reality and he realizes he must live for her. Matthew's in-laws visit and offer to take the baby to their home in another town, but Matthew decides to take care of the baby himself to prove he can be a responsible father. He takes the baby with him everywhere, including work, and struggles to get the baby to stop crying at night. He seeks advice from a mother's association and is able to get the baby to sleep through the night. At work, Matthew falls asleep during a meeting and his boss wakes him up to give a presentation. However, the baby starts crying and Matthew leaves the presentation to calm the baby. The clients are impressed by Matthew's dedication to his child and offer their support. Matthew's boss advises him to hire a babysitter so he can rest and work, and Matthew follows this advice. Matthew has been struggling to get his baby to sleep through the night and has been sleep deprived. One day at work, he falls asleep during a meeting and his boss wakes him up to give a presentation. However, while giving the presentation, he hears his daughter crying and stops the presentation to go check on her. His boss is angry with him, but the clients are concerned and impressed that he is still caring for his child despite being at work. The clients give him advice on how to stop his child from crying and he is able to successfully calm his child. After the presentation, his boss apologizes and suggests that he hire a babysitter to ease the burden of caring for the child and give him time to rest and work. Matthew follows the advice and hires a babysitter to care for his child. After the incident at the bar, Matthew realized that he couldn't trust anyone else to take care of his daughter Maddie. He made the decision to stop hiring babysitters and instead, take care of Maddie himself. It wasn't going to be easy, but he knew that as Maddie's father, it was his responsibility to ensure her safety and well-being. From then on, Matthew made sure to be there for Maddie every step of the way, taking her with him to work and making sure she was always by his side. It wasn't easy, but Matthew was determined to be the best father he could be, even if it meant sacrificing his own needs and desires. He knew that as long as Maddie was happy and healthy, everything else was worth it. The story is about a father, Matthew, who has to take care of his daughter, Maddie, after his wife dies. He initially struggles to take care of Maddie, but eventually learns how to care for her and becomes a responsible father. When he goes to work, his boss allows him to work from home so that he can take care of Maddie, but later suggests that he hire a babysitter to give him some time to rest and work. Matthew eventually hires a babysitter, but ends up firing her because he doesn't trust her. Later on, Maddie's grandparents offer to take care of her, but Matthew insists on taking care of her himself. A few years later, Maddie is in elementary school and Matthew has the help of his friends, Jordan and Oscar, in taking care of her. However, Maddie has only been around boys her whole life, so she tends to act like a boy, causing a problem at school when she doesn't want to wear a skirt. Matthew had always been a single father, ever since his wife passed away a few years ago. He had always struggled to take care of his young daughter Maddie on his own, but he was determined to prove to everyone that he could do it. Despite the challenges, Matthew persevered and managed to raise Maddie as best as he could. One day, Maddie fell and hit her head while playing at school. She was rushed to the hospital and Matthew, who was with his girlfriend Liz at the time, rushed to the hospital as well, panicked and worried about his daughter's condition. When he arrived, the doctor informed him that Maddie's injury was not serious and she just needed a few stitches. Relieved, Matthew took Maddie home and felt guilty for not being able to protect her better. He also felt guilty for spending so much time with Liz, and not being able to focus on Maddie as much as he would have liked. Liz, who had come to check on Maddie's condition, comforted Matthew and assured him that he was doing a great job as a single father. She told him that it was okay to take some time for himself and to have a social life, as long as he was still providing for Maddie and taking care of her needs. Matthew appreciated Liz's words and realized that he didn't have to do everything on his own. He could seek help and support from his loved ones, and still be a responsible and loving father to Maddie. Matthew thought about it for a while and decided to decline the offer. He told his boss that he was grateful for the opportunity, but he needed to focus on his daughter and make sure she was happy and taken care of. His boss understood and respected his decision. Matthew realized that even though he wanted to provide for his daughter and give her the best life possible, being there for her and being present in her life was the most important thing. He made the decision to prioritize his relationship with Maddie and make sure she was always his first priority. Matthew's boss noticed that Matthew seemed preoccupied and asked if everything was okay. Matthew hesitated for a moment, but eventually confided in his boss about his situation with Maddie and his feelings of guilt for not being able to give her the best life. His boss listened sympathetically and assured Matthew that he was a great father and that Maddie was lucky to have him. He encouraged Matthew to not give up on his relationship with Maddie, and to continue to do what he thought was best for her. Matthew took his boss's words to heart and decided to try and make amends with Maddie. He visited her at his in-laws' house and apologized for not being able to give her the life she deserved. Maddie, who had also been feeling guilty for not wanting to live with her father, apologized as well, and the two hugged and reconciled. From that day on, Matthew made an effort to spend more time with Maddie and to be more present in her life. He also worked on building a relationship with Liz, who had always wanted to be a part of Maddie's life. With the help and support of his friends and family, Matthew was able to balance his career and his responsibilities as a father, and Maddie grew up to be a happy and well-adjusted young woman.